Now let's talk about the general ledger. We're going to navigate here to the applications menu. We're going to come to general ledger. And here is our menu for the general ledger. We've got the all tab and we've got the setup tab. So that's pretty common in all of the applications. So we're going to talk about the configuration area first. So I'm going to go to setup configuration. And in the configuration screen, we do not want to change any of the top area where we have our accrual basis setting. We've got some allow changes to account numbers. We've got different buttons up here. We do not want to turn these on without discussing with us first. There are different areas that this affects beyond the general ledger, so we want to be careful with turning on any of these buttons. So a couple optional things you can turn on in the general ledger. We can turn on the GAAP adjustment journals, the tax adjustment journals if you'd like, where you're going to have two separate columns in your general ledger and your trial balance for these types of adjustments. So if you have an audit and you want to track those audit journal entries separately, or those tax journals separately as well. Okay, so those are optional. If you're in a multi-currency environment, you'd have that on. That's another whole series of content on multi-currency. With your transactional settings, you have your future period warnings here. You also have transaction allocations, which you'll learn about as well in another series on how to allocate journal entries across departments, for example, in an easy manner. You also have some other optional buttons where you're going to want this one on. However, the subledger auditing of transactions posted from your subledgers. So just go ahead and turn that on. We've got some optional report buttons as well. So we want to enable additional header titles. It allows for a subtitle on your reports. You do not want to enable reporting account labels. And you generally do not want to set your permissions to have your financial reports be public. Okay, you want to set those on an individual user basis. You should have your dimension settings set to this screen here. You also have journal entry approvals if wanted, where if someone enters in a journal entry, another person then subsequently approves. That is a workflow. Again, there's another series on that. We also have user-defined books. These are automated dimension counts, which you'll also see another video on that in our content. So that will explain that. And we've got some dimensional relationships down here. Again, this is not something I'm going to cover. There's another video on dimensional relationships that we will cover as well. So generally speaking, you do not want to do a whole lot in the general ledger configuration besides the future period warning and a few buttons that I've pointed out to turn on. Okay, we're going to hit save. And then you're going to have your general ledger configured. Now, once I hit save, notice I come back to a home page for the general ledger that points out some different buttons here. These are also in the menu. So you can see reporting periods. That's my reporting periods here, my account groups, closing my books. So you can navigate from this spot. However, if you need more, you're going to come in here and find it in the menu. Okay. So we're going to talk about reporting periods next. I'm going to click on the reporting periods. And you're going to see a list of all of the dates that I've created. So I've created about 10 years worth of dates. Doesn't hurt to do that. You can go further out if you want as well. I like to start my reporting period with the first reporting period that I'm going to bring in my opening general ledger balance sheet. So if I'm going to bring in my 12/31/22 balance sheet, I generally like to start my reporting period in 2022. So there's a video on how to create your reporting periods as well, and how to create ones for the future when you get to the time period you run out up here. Okay. So reporting periods are used in financial report designs, your general ledger, trial balance, those drop-down dates that you can pick from. Okay. So you will learn about statistical accounts in another video. I'm going to come here to the All tab. You're going to learn about how to make journal entries and workflow testing. You're going to learn how to run the general ledger. in the workflow training and testing area. But that is generally speaking the general ledger setup and configuration and a quick overview and look of the menu.